My name is Sterling Sauerby. I'm the owner of the Flying Deutschman food truck. We serve German, authentic German food, no bread, just real, homemade, wholesome German cuisine. This food industry, 47 years total, in the hospitality industry, shall we say. And in the kitchen and the restaurant field now, 37 years. I opened a restaurant and my partner was the chef. And what he did, I can't say on camera, but he did some naughty things and he wouldn't open the restaurant on time. So at one point I said, if that happens again, I was a DJ, I wasn't an owner, but not a chef. So I said, if it happens again, we're going to close down. And that's what happened. So we closed the first restaurant down, and after that I said, if I ever do a restaurant again, I was 24, I think. If I ever do a restaurant again, I need to be a chef. I need to know what's going on in the back of the house before I make an investment into a restaurant. So that's what happened a couple of years later. I sold my club, well, moved it on to a friend of mine, and then moved to another town called Hamburg, and again with another friend who was a chef, opened a restaurant, and he trained me basically. When you come from the blue-collar background that I come from and are not really exposed to the upper echelon, fine dining scene, you get taken there, and I always thought, oh man, if I'm a chef, I can do all this myself. So in the end, that was a big motivating factor for me. No matter what will happen, I will always be able to take some ingredients and make a nice, healthy meal out of it. So that's really what got me motivated to becoming a real professional chef. I wanted to open a restaurant. Just like in the movie Chef, he didn't want to open a food truck. But then once you get into it, you discover there's actually a lot of interesting factors about it. So the original story is my sister-in-law came up with the name Flying Deutschman. When I heard Flying Deutschman, I was like, oh, pirate scene, that's me. We can connect it to the Flying Dutchman, what everybody does. Usually they call me the Flying Dutchman. But it's a well-ringing name, I thought. And it got my fantasy going, what I could do, where I can take this. And that's how it started. Normal days are rare and far in between, to be honest, but you deal with everything, you know. And it is kind of similar to a regular kitchen. The bain-marie goes down, the stove, one flame is out, and so on and so on. You got to deal with problems. Now on a food truck, this is all combined into a small space, and it happens way more, especially when you have a 40-year-old lady like this that needs maintenance all the time. Right, Heidi? Just German, regular German house-made cuisine. So the same stuff that my grandmother used to make back in the day. There's a lot of Mexican trucks around, there's a lot of all kinds of different trucks around, but there's really no German truck. It's a handful across the country, but most of those also fall into this, what I call Americanized cuisine. So they take a schnitzel, they put it on a sandwich and then say that's German. Well, yes, on the fairgrounds, they sell schnitzel sandwiches, but as a chef, maybe one day I will, if I'm famous enough and I have enough trucks, we will have a schnitzel sandwich truck out on the field somewhere with 50 other trucks. But for me, it was more showcasing the actual cuisine, how we really eat, how people really sit down at dinner and eat. They eat meat, potatoes, and vegetables, or used to. Nowadays it's a little bit different. They eat a hoagie, a pizza, and mac and cheese. I'm not for that. I'm totally against that. It's industrialized feeding and it's not healthy for us. And in the end, it will come back to haunt us because we need cholesterol medication and blood pressure medication and God knows what. Now, phenomenal. The first couple of years were tough. I had a lot of people come up to the truck and go, "Can I get a sandwich?" I go, "No, this is not a sandwich truck. We are here for real food, real German food. And I'm not saying that it's not real food when you put it on a sandwich, but I can't put myself behind it. No, I want to sell stuff that I can put myself behind it, that I will eat myself. I cried so many times, you have no idea. I laid in parking lots crying. The girl that works with me, Vicky, she saw a couple of those incidents. No, you think this is it, it's over. No, you can't recoup from this. Whatever it was, brake line rupturing or tank leaking or so many things. It's just indescribable.
You mentioned Vicky, talk about her role on the truck.
Well, she's supposed to be my successor, hopefully. But I call her my retirement. So I don't have a 401k, I don't have these things, you know. So for me, hopefully she will be the one that takes this company then to the next level. You know? And she's really good at it. When Vicky works, she works the grill. She likes to be on the backside of the house, so to speak. I take the order, I put it up on the board, she prepares it, puts it out, and then I call the customer and say, "Here's your food." We do have the cold side, you know, where the salad bar is. There's all our salads in there and sometimes cakes and sauces and stuff like that. And then we have the hot bain-marie, that's where we keep the hot sauces. And like things like Bockwurst, Weichwurst get heated up in there. And on bigger events we use it to pre-cook schnitzel. You know, when we do like 500 people, you can't just do them one by one. So we start out by cooking, let's say 50 schnitzel, keep them in the warmer, and then we roll through them in the beginning to get the flow going. And then once we go through the 50, we start cooking per order. So, but it helps to get it started. And then next to that is the fryer. Well, everybody knows what we do in the fryer, right? We drop the schnitzel and the bratwurst in. And traditionally, I know chefs in Germany, you don't do bratwurst in the fryer. I'm aware of that. But you know, you have to speed it up. There's just no way we can do all these brats on that little grill. It's not possible. So we drop them in the fryer. Plus, I found out that here in America, there's only a handful of Germans that know that still. Now that there has to be the white stripe. Normally when I served it like that, we did that in the beginning, because I'm a purist. And people would say, "Can you cook that all the way?" I would laugh. It is cooked already before I even throw it in the fryer. Bratwurst, Thüringer Bratwurst, the one that I'm doing, is not fresh meat, it's cooked meat. So they get boiled before they actually come on the truck. You can eat them cold. No, it's not a pleasant feeling, but no, you could in theory, nothing will happen. And then next to that is the plating and prep station, basically, where Vicky puts everything together. The big refrigerator that holds all the meats and the sausages, the potatoes, all that stuff is in a big upright refrigerator. Holds about enough food for roughly 500 people. 3-compartment sink because the health department wanted one, which is really ludicrous on a truck. We don't wash anything on the truck, you know. You take your dirty stuff, you put it in a bin, you bring it back to your commissary and you wash it there. Rather than in these little toy sinks that are back there where you can basically you get one pan in it and that's it. So while it is a requirement, it's really a requirement that is illogical, shall we say. The idea was really not the live stream. The idea was there's a monitor behind the window here. So people that stand outside can watch us make their food. So I call it the open restaurant policy. Now, just like you have restaurants where you can see the kitchen from where you are sitting and you can see the guys making your food, I had the same idea on the food truck. I don't want people to go like this. They can just stand there comfortably and watch it on the monitor. A schnitzel is just anything you bread and throw in the fryer. A breaded cutlet here in America is the culinary term for it. The sides are traditional German sides. That's actually where my grandmother's cooking comes in. So I do the sauerkraut and the red cabbage just like she did back in the day, with the same aromatics, the same ingredients. So for example, let's stick with that cabbage and sauerkraut. Two main things are you add lard to give it a creamy feeling in your mouth, and you add pig feet or pig ears and let them simmer in the kraut to bring out those flavors. And then my aromatics, which if you want, you can see it on my Facebook page actually, how it's done. Jäger sauce is the mildest one, and literally it tastes like Campbell's mushroom soup. If you want a comparison in your head, that's the easiest way to go, but it's better. No, there's more going on than just in that Campbell's soup. There's way more different mushrooms in there. And yeah, it's mild. No? It doesn't have a lot of punch to it. And then the next one, the Zigeuner or gypsy sauce as it's called, it's a tangy, sweet and sour kind of sauce. So the ingredients are ketchup, crushed tomatoes and diced tomatoes, and then all the peppers, onions and stuff. Cumin goes in to give it this kind of strange flavor, almost, where you can't put your finger on it what it is. And then garlic and parsley. I think that's it, really, the ingredients. So it's a little bit like I describe it like a marinara sauce, but with a sweet and tangy flavor to it. And the curry sauce, the last one, is a simple barbecue sauce, really. Ketchup and crushed tomatoes mixed together, and then in it goes curry powder, a little bit of cumin powder, black pepper, Tabasco, honey, and that's it. And then you just stir it. You don't even have to cook that one. You just stir it together, no? And then put it in your containers. We bring it on the truck, heat it up on the truck directly. So bratwurst is our biggest sausage seller. Then we have the currywurst, which is exactly the same. It's the bratwurst, but it gets chopped up and then with the curry sauce over top. We have a bockwurst, which is similar to an American hot dog, a little bit more flavorful than a regular hot dog, and a little bigger. Weichwurst is another one. It's a Bavarian sausage, gets boiled, very mild, and it's a veal sausage. And now we just got a new one that we will put on in a couple of weeks called Kreininger sausage, which is similar to like a kielbasa. And we're going to use it with a dish that my grandmother used to make called Grünkohl, kale. It's braised kale. It's a very, very flavorful dish as well. And the sausages come, or my meats, there's a couple more things. There's Leberkäse, there's Kassler Rippchen. They all come from a butcher up in Homestale, PA, called Alpine Wursthaus. Really good butcher. I've been working with him now for, I think, the last 4 years. The butcher before that shut down, so I had to change. I found these guys. He actually recommended these guys. And it's been good ever since. And now they actually deliver as well, so it makes it a lot easier. I operate everywhere. That's one of the big reasons why I became a food trucker. I finally know where I live. Now I go all the way, the furthest we went so far is Manchester, New Hampshire, all the way down to Washington, went almost to Pittsburgh, not quite, and down to Atlantic City. So our radius is gigantic. Depends, of course, on the budget of the client. When we go to New Hampshire, you're looking at a cost of at least $5,000. Mostly private now. In the beginning, I did everything. I went on to all the events that everybody else was doing, all these food truck events. But the way I serve my food on a plate with knife and fork really doesn't lend itself to be sitting out in a park in the grass eating. You can, I'm not saying you can't, but it's not the perfect ideal situation. That's why I, from the very get-go, said we're going to work with breweries. Breweries, wineries, distilleries is our main income, our main bread. Because people sit down. You know, they have a table, they have a chair, they can sit down, have a glass of wine, beer or whatever, and eat my food with that. That's what was the main idea, and that's what's happening now. There's a calendar on my website. It will tell you up till the end of this year where I will be on any given day. And once this Oktoberfest craze is over in November, I start populating for 2024. And I already have, I don't know how many in the wings trying to get, I said, no guys, you got to wait like everybody else. We're going to start in November. Then give me your dates and I put them on the calendar.